All right. Welcome to tonight's emergency council meeting, July 6, 2020. We have one item, but first of all, Melody, I guess it will be appropriate for roll call to make sure we have a quorum present.
Yes, sir. Mr. Baldy? Here. Mr. Hines? Mr. Higginbotham? Mr. Wolverton?
Here. He's here by Zoom. Yeah.
Zoom, okay. Yeah. McClellan? Jones?
Here.
Smith? Here. Wyatt? Here. Andress? Here. Hardin? Here. And Wright?
Here. And just to clarify for everyone, we're still exercising social distancing rules, of course, really emphasizing masks as well, as I don't have one while I'm talking, and we'll certainly keep it on when I move around and get close to anyone, of course. I'm sorry? Yeah. So we certainly have a quorum. And Mike, just for the record, we still have the governor's order in place that permits, I know we permit participation by Zoom, but for Mr. Wolverton to vote by Zoom as well? Yes. Okay, thank you. All right, so we just have one item for this emergency council meeting, 010720, which is a request to authorize emergency expenditure to repair fire engine number 2 and to amend the fiscal year budget for 2019-2020. This is coming to us from Chief Nick Hill and Gordon James. So I don't know who wishes to speak to this first, but somebody can let us know what we need to do here, sir.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Here requesting permission to request proposals to put out to bid for repairs on fire engine 2. It's known as VEC 040 in the fire maintenance fleet. Saturday before last, we lost an engine in the truck. It seized up. The truck had 47,000 miles, which is a little over half the life expectancy of the engine, and it had almost 5,800 hours, which is a little bit more than half. It was an unexpected loss. We'd had some problems with it last year with some contamination in the diesel fuel, and that probably helped contribute to the loss, but I don't think that was the total reason for the engine loss. These trucks take a tremendous beating because of what they have to do in the fire service. They leave the stations, for the most part cold and run hard to get to the scene, and then on the scene they may idle for hours at a time to provide a service of air conditioning or whatever they need to support the fire apparatus. We're looking at around $50,000 for this engine. There's a possibility it may go a little higher because of the core value of the engine. I've talked with two of the vendors, and they've assured me that they will try to help us retrieve that $15,000 core charge if at all possible. But if the core is not usable, then Detroit Diesel Allison will not accept the core. So we've asked for the possibility of $65,000, hoping that we don't have to have that, use that other $15,000 to buy a core that will be of no benefit to the city.
Mr. Wright?
Yes, Ms. Smith.
I assume there's no warranty at this point. It's probably way out of warranty at this point.
Yes, ma'am, it is out of warranty. It's a 2012 truck. It seems that the engine is listed at 2010 because of the emission setup it had, but it's a 2012.
Okay.
All right. Chief Hill, I don't know if you had anything to add to that, or?
No, sir. They parked the truck as soon as the light came on, so they called Jordan on Monday. It happened on Saturday. They thought they parked it when the light came on. On Monday, they came and checked the oil sensing unit, make sure that it wasn't that, and then they drove it, and that's when they locked up on Monday.
All right. And can you speak to the emergency need for this vehicle and for this repair in regard to capabilities we have and capabilities we don't have without this vehicle?
It's a frontline vehicle. We lost a reserve about 6 weeks ago, so we're down one reserve already. So that being said, it being a frontline vehicle, we need to get it back on the front line as soon as possible. There's a 6 to 8 week turnaround time on the motor. So if we have more than 2 apparatus go to the shop at one time, which that has happened, we'd be forced to rent one. So,
There is, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, let me just follow up. So you said 6 to 8 weeks to get the motor,
correct.
and how long will it take to get it in? And
Probably around 10 days to 2 weeks to install it.
so it could
There is
be-
not an engine available for this truck anywhere in the United States. These engines are in such demand now with new trucks being built, and because of the virus situation, everybody has scaled back and have not got up to full speed on the production of them. And this will be a reman engine. There's not a new engine available anywhere.
Okay.
They will locate our buildable core. They will build the engine for us, and then they'll install it.
So we got 10 weeks thereabout.
Roughly, unless they can find one sooner, which they're going to try to do once we authorize them, if we do so, to start the process.
Okay. Okay. Any further questions?
Oh, I just had a question.
Ms. Andrews?
Yes, where are we taking, what line are we taking out of it in the budget?
We sent a resolution out, right?
Mr. Burkett, if you want to,
Nick has told us that he's going to have some excess.
Robert, if you'll come, if y'all can use the microphone, sorry. Don't hug each other while you're up there, though.
The $65,000 is going to be 35,000 coming from salaries from the fire department, and then we have 30,000 coming from contingency, reserve for contingencies.
Okay. Contingencies.
Reserve for contingencies.
For general fund budget? Or is that for
Yes, sir,
fire
general
department or-
fund, general fund budget,
Gotcha.
the overall general fund budget.
Gotcha, all right. All right, Mr. Jones, I was going to ask you about that.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. That answers my question in terms of where the funding would take place. What should we expect to see during budget hearings in terms of new vehicles for the fire department?
I think we're going to have to order one because of the reserve that we lost 6 weeks ago. It was a catastrophic failure. It can't be repaired.
It can be repaired, but because
If y'all would, I know,
It's the Zoom
Step-
people can't hear you.
yeah, step to the microphone.
I should say it can be repaired, but it's cost prohibitive. The value of the truck's about $10,000, and what's the repair about 17, 18?
we estimate it would be around $25,000 to $30,000 for the repair total for the truck. It's a 1998 truck. It has well exceeded its life expectancy with the city. Something happened to cause the transfer case to explode while they were on a run, and we checked the possible availability. No one has a transfer case, and only a new case is available because of an update to it. So with that expense, my determination was the truck is not feasible for repair. We need to remove it from the fleet because if we lose an engine or if we lose a transmission, we've invested a lot of money in something that we should have already rotated out of the fleet.
And we spent, what, $9,000 on it already?
I'm not sure how much we spent on it.
Okay, we've already spent a significant amount of money on it already, so.
And I'd
Yes.
like to say one thing. The fire department did exactly what they were supposed to have done Saturday before last when they called me. They knew they had a problem. They shut the truck down. They took it out of service. And when we came and checked it, we didn't find a problem with it. We checked the manual oil pressure on it. We removed the electronic oil pressure detection and installed manual oil pressure, and it showed good. We ran it at their location at Station 1 for about an hour. It showed no symptomatic of any problems or anything in the engine. We road tested it, and that's when it failed. So the damage was probably done prior to them using it over a long period of time, and it just shows that opportunity to fail.
All right, Mr. Jones?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I've mentioned this several times over the course of me serving, and that is, I've always appreciated what was presented during budget hearings from Chief Bresnan. And it was a 20-year vehicle plan, and I think it would be good when we do have budget hearings to kind of talk about, I need a refresher in terms of, okay, here are our main vehicles, here's our number one reserve, here's our second reserve, maybe talk about what that plan, where we are in that 20-year plan, because that was, I had beautiful pictures and everything, and that helped me understand where we were. So if that could be sent to finance kind of in anticipation of budget hearings, that would be really helpful to me.
Sure, that's no problem. We have it updated all the time.
Okay, perfect. That's great. I appreciate that.
And I assume we have your salaries department, this is for whatever reason, in regard to budgetary salary planning, this will not be, will not jeopardize your fire department, at least?
No, sir,
through
it
the
will not.
fiscal year?
We've had one person on IWP for right at a year, so we didn't use his salary because workers' comp was paying it. So we have, his salary's more than enough to cover it.
Okay, any further questions or discussion? Yes, Mr. Gwaltney?
Yeah, and I missed, how many reserve vehicles do you have today? Do you have like enough, or should we start preparing for potentially a lease or a rental?
We have 2 right now, but we're okay as long as we don't have 2 engines go out at, or 3 engines go out at one time. But that has happened, so
Okay, I just want to make sure we're looking forward.
we are. And the rental was actually more reasonable than I expected. I think it's about $350 to $400 a day, which is expensive, but if you don't have an fire engine, that's,
And we will do everything to assist the fire department to make sure that we keep their fleet up and running as much as possible while this downtime occurs, of overtime or people coming in, whatever it is.
and if I add this, one of the things we did was we implemented, usually we go, because we all go together, we go to the grocery store together, we go do everything together. So we said, okay, on anything that's not absolutely necessary, that's not, fire department related as far as hose testing, hydrant testing, something test that we all have to go together, then we're just not going to go. We'll put one guy in a pickup truck with a radio and we'll send him. So we've done everything we can to kind of eliminate the possibility of putting wear on the tear on the trucks until we can get this resolved.
Chief
All
Hill,
right. Yes,
I just
Mr.
had
Harden.
a question. Somehow in the back of my memory, a brand-new fire truck is about $300,000. Is that what we're looking at?
No, sir.
I mean,
It's, they're running about 800,000.
whew, it's been a long time since I know about that, okay. All right, yeah. Okay,
All right.
so if we are getting a new
Please,
one,
no angry comments from the crowd, please.
I mean, if we do have to budget a new one, that's what we're looking at,
Yes, sir.
What'd you say, Mr. I could, you say 5 to 800,000?
800.
About $800,000.
How much?
About 800,000.
I'm in the wrong business.
We're trying to get them down to 500,000, and they keep saying it's 800,000.
Inflation's a horrible thing.
They won't tell them it takes a year to get a truck.
Right. Yeah, it takes a year. We have one that was coming in October, and we ordered it over a year ago,
That's
so.
been paid for a long time ago, yeah.
Well, I think we're still paying for it, but.
Still paying for it, yeah.
It's,
Started the
You're
budget
right,
process,
but
yeah.
it takes a year to build it. So if we order one just like we just ordered, I think we can eliminate some of the costs. We're trying to get it down to about 770, but who knows what the economy's going to do in the next 3 months.
All righty. Further questions or discussion? Entertain a motion or consideration for this?
I'd make a motion for approval of the expenditure to not exceed $65,000.
All right, so motion for approval for this item 010720 not to exceed $65,000 from Mr. Gwaltney.
Second.
Second by Ms. Andrus. Any further questions or discussion?
Mr. Hart, that was Mr. Harden.
Oh, I'm sorry. Second by Mr. Harden. Sorry, John.
Is my voice that deep?
Please let the record note that was a second by Mr. Harden. All right, so we have a motion and a second. Further questions or discussion? Mr. Jones?
Yeah, we need to specify where the money is coming from.
Yes,
So,
okay. I
third-
think
so-
for the record, for what was presented was $35,000 from salaries from the fire department and $30,000 from our general contingency fund.
Right.
Is that okay with you, Mr. Gwaltney? And second, Mr. Harden?
Yes.
All right. Any further questions or discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And Mr. Wolverton, I don't know what your vote was.
That was an aye.
Okay.
So we're now 9, because did you vote, Mr.
Yes.
McCluskey?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Vote 9-0.
Okay.
All right, so thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
And,
We will do everything we can to hold that cost down, I'll assure you.
I know you will. Thank you, sir. I know you will.
Thank you.
All right, so that's going to do it for our emergency council meeting. We are adjourned. Thank you.